All right, what up, everybody? How's everybody doing tonight? Welcome. If you don't know who I am, my name is RJ. Tonight we are talking about it's your last chance to sign up for this course that starts tomorrow. We're going to be discussing other things too, but that's the title of this live stream for the moment. As people are joining, one of the main things I want to kind of talk about and cover is the entire concept and idea of, liberating yourself from, once again, those external forces. Recognizing, you know, how you're living your life. Who are you living your life for? You know, this is one of the things that I think everybody should contemplate and understand, because you can live your life for you. You can live your life for, the sake of your children. You can live your life for, your parents' belief structures and their projections of what you should be doing. You can live your life based off of, your fears and insecurities, right? And many people, most people, live their life in those levels. And to me, the point of this reality is to you know understand yourself and to learn how to effectively um, you know navigate through all the BS and not allow external forces to control your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. And that's how you liberate yourself, right? So as people are joining, I want everybody to kind of share, in your experience, what do you believe you can liberate yourself from? What do you put importance on? Do you put your own belief structures, above how you prioritize, let's say your parents' belief structures or your partner's belief structures, your religion's belief structures, and how you should navigate through life? Some people, you see this all the time, where kids will go to college and they'll pick a major because it's what their parents want them to do. It's not what's going to bring them fulfillment. It's not something they're really interested in, and they will literally spend all their time, go to school, graduate, get that degree, start that job, and then wonder why they're completely unhappy and unfulfilled because they're doing something that was projected upon them instead of actually following the path that would have brought them fulfillment. And like I said, to me, life is all about, well, how do you overcome that? How do you overcome those pressures and stuff, and trust yourself and know yourself, and be in a state where you don't let yourself down. And that's one of the most important things to me when it comes to navigating through life. Are you living your life for you, or are you living your life for somebody else? And if you're living your life for somebody else, well, you're doing yourself a disservice as well as them. Most people don't see it as that. And as everybody's joining, let me know what y'all think about that. Hey Augusta, hey Tony, how are you doing? Hey Timar, how you doing? GSK Culture, how y'all doing? What up, Soul? Um, you know, this is something to contemplate, right? It's the more that you allow other people and things to control your experience, like, just the heavier and denser it feels, the more you walk around in a state of depression, of anxiety, and all these other things. But the more you can get to know yourself and develop yourself, everything becomes easier. Everything. um One of the things that I'm a huge proponent for is to, for everybody to figure out what your inner genius is, because everybody has an inner genius. There's nobody out there that's not a genius in some way, and a genius when it comes to something. There's nobody out there that isn't like that. And my suggestion for you, as you're, trying to figure out what that is, the hardest thing about figuring it out is it's the most natural thing about you. Everybody has, a lot of different qualities, and skills that other people will look at you and say, "Oh, you're just really good at that. I don't know how you do that. That's amazing." Right? And because it's so natural to you, we oftentimes overlook it and think that, "Oh, yeah, whatever. I've just been doing this my whole life." Yeah, because it's part of your inner genius. It's part of who and what you are. And, that is part of our divine gift and our energy that we are sitting here to give to the world, is that right there. Now, when you go along your path, and if you're on your path, too long, and you're not touching that energy or sharing that energy then it brings you down. This is why people go their whole life working a job once again, and every day they're like, another day, another dollar. You ask them how you doing, they go, another day in paradise, right? Because secretly they hate their job, they hate what they're doing, but they constantly go and go and go because they're living their life for the sake of other things, and they put their own spirit and their own intuitive guidance and their own inner genius to the side. But you will never go wrong listening to that and following that. Now, one of the things when it comes to following your intuition in the beginning is you have to develop the proper tuning forks in order for your intuition to function properly, because your intuition will always guide you to a higher place than where you're at, but it doesn't mean it's going to guide you to a really high place, especially if you have bad habits, if you're have addictions, if you haven't cleaned up your lifestyle and stuff like that. But the moment you begin to purify that and develop more concentration and discipline, then your intuition works on super high level overdrive, and it's really, really beautiful. You know, Say, what's up, Say? It's a daily strange, yeah. Put it in work. We've been working with a lot of fire element in Kabbalah sessions and stuff too. So, the fire element is all about, taking correct action, and doing it efficiently. Right time. It's not always just go, 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 go. Balanced fire element is more direct at the right time. You get it done and not forcing yourself to really do anything outside of, um, you know, what is required. Because once again, you can work yourself to the bone and get very little outcome. But if you, take the right action at the right time, you can get far greater outcomes with less effort and greater efficiency. And I've most definitely been pushed to kind of stream more and share my insights and aha moments and epiphanies. Plus, I got to release all this stuff that I've been gaining. I've been traveling a lot. I've been to all these sacred ancient temples and everything else, and workshops and retreats at this weeks of every day getting up, going to a temple, going to a stupa, practicing meditating for 5 hours a day, for weeks at a time. So I need to metabolize a lot of this light and energy and blessings and stuff that's been transmitted to me. So I got to get it out. I can't hold it on because I won't have enough room in my energetic field to gain more insight and knowledge. So we gotta share it. This is wild. Sound like the dream life. It is. It is, and this is why people may not understand it. People have an idea of what it means to be, their own personified idea of what it means to have like a fulfilling life or success or anything like that. Like for me in my personal, journey, I've been extremely blessed to be able to travel to all these different places, and even like just Sri Lanka, the way that lined up, amazing. I spent most of this year in Sri Lanka traveling the entire island multiple times. I've seen more of Sri Lanka than almost more Sri Lanka than every Sri Lankan I've met, and I know Sri Lankans that's in parliament, in the military, that are entrepreneurs, that travel the whole world, and they still haven't seen the whole island. Been to all these sacred places. It's really, really beautiful, and it's just going to grow. This whole next year, because once again, um, this fits the whole topic of what I'm just talking about. Like for me, the best thing that I could possibly do is strive to be the best me and live my life for me. And by doing that for me, then I can be a better me for everybody else around me. But if I were to go around, oh, let me sacrifice everything for you or for the sake of this or somebody else's projection, then I wouldn't have such a fulfilling experience and be able to share that with others. And it's just growing. And as I continue to grow and evolve, um, it's becoming more and more abundant and more fulfilling, more fun, and it's beautiful. And I've been in monk mode for a while. The past couple years, we've been doing the course, Um, what up, Jake? It's good to see you more often. Yeah, everybody keeps saying that. So last like 3 years, I've been focusing on just building up the video library and stuff for the course and practicing that level. And now I'm in the point where I can take my skills, my knowledge, my awareness, all the content and everything, and bridge it into other spaces, and it's kind of self-sustaining. So now it's time to, focus on a couple other things. We're still doing a course. I still do the weekly group Zoom meetings, although I will be traveling a lot more over the next year. Next year, we're going to be doing a lot of traveling starting in January. We're going to be in Tepoztlan, Mexico, near Mexico City. We're going to go to the Pyramid of the Sun and the Moon. It's two of them, they're right next to each other. And Tepoztlan is super special because, like, they always get like UFO. Appearances and things like that. And that's also where Louis Farrakhan, visited, and he had a vision that Elijah Muhammad came and saw Elijah Muhammad in the UFO there at the one of the like temples on top of the mountains in Tepoztlan, and it's really really cool. So I just posted a video of the trailer for the documentary that we shot in Sri Lanka. You should check it out. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out after the live stream. Though, leave a comment, share it. Help boost it a little bit if you want to support me in any way. Um, but same thing that we did in Sri Lanka, we're going to do that all over the world. Go to these powerful places, document it. One of my main things when we go to these places is understanding the energy of the places and how it affects you. I often talk about Sedona and the vortexes there. Being in Sedona, it liberates your spirit in such a beautiful way, and it does this to everybody. So everybody who I've ever met that has been to Sedona, if they're there for more than a week, they want to live there. And I know many people that was there the first time they came and then went home and pretty much wanted to throw all their belongings away and just move to Sedona because that's the type of energy it has. It liberates you. But each space, like different places of power, they affect you differently. And one of the most interesting things about being in Sri Lanka and seeing the difference in how that energy affects you. There's people that grow up in these environments, but their relationship to the energy is completely different. And when it comes to the way that they live their life, it's in alignment with the energy that's there. Is just part of the culture. Whereas coming from America and going to a place like that and experiencing that energy on a really deep level, it changes you and on the, like a really high spiritual level, and it's really beautiful. So me and Jonah, our goal is to at least 6 or 7 different countries this upcoming year, starting in January, and we're going to set up different tours and stuff, and explore some of the lore and the ancient sites and all the magic and UFO activity and everything too, and then film it and share it with the world. So that's going to be beautiful. That's going to be absolutely beautiful. Hey, Lynette, how you doing? So Sri Lanka had intense energy. I just shared the trailer too. I finally got it up. So that's out there. Lynette, she's been in Sri Lanka. That she came with us and traveled through the island for almost 2 weeks, and it was amazing. It was really really beautiful. That's a place that will always be sacred to me and have a really deep place in my heart. Anyway, other than that, how's everybody doing? Shout out to everybody that's joining. This is your first time, feel free. Let me know in the comments. Let me know where you're from. Drop a 1 in the comments. If you know anybody that may, enjoy this information and that wants to talk about anything spiritual, metaphysical, anything you have going on, feel free. You can drop questions, comments, concerns. My specialty is more so in alchemy and high level spiritual protection, how to train your psychic abilities, how to leave your body and practice mental transference and the hermetic path more than anything. So people usually come to me too for lots of different reasons. I've helped people clear all types of sicknesses and demons and all types of weird stuff that people have going on with them. And where do you go when you're dealing with stuff like that? I've had some really really interesting experiences. And this is one of the cool things too about going to these sacred places as well, because for me, I've always had mystical experiences everywhere I go ever since I was little. So when I go to these like powerful places where it's known to have like mystical, magical experience, it gets amplified like many times over. Like I can't even describe the things that I experienced in Sri Lanka, and it's still more I want to experience. Um, Sedona is the same thing. One of the realizations I had in Sedona just this past time is so everybody pretty much has like a magical experience when they go to Sedona. Um, but I haven't seen anybody that for me, I don't know, when I'm there, people look at me crazy. Like not because I'm like any different. I don't dress like the average like Sidonian. Even when I like lived in Sedona, I still dress just pretty normal. But people would stop me all the time. I'm like psychics would stop me. Told you guys about the Navajo shaman that stopped me dead in my tracks when I walked by him. I would be out to eat and people would literally just be staring, like just full on, just like just staring me down. And typically people will say that they either see all the different light and consciousness and beings and stuff that walk with me. Some people have seen my other levels of light and incarnations. Some people will see all the akasha and say, "Oh, you're glowing violet right now," and like all these different things. I remember getting pizza with my family one time, and there was this lady that literally she didn't take her eyes off of me. It wasn't like, oh, he looks good or anything like that. She was like bewildered and she was just staring like I don't know what she saw. But I know who I am. I know who I am on many different levels. So which part of that she saw and what other people see is pretty interesting. So going to these places, it kind of makes me wonder, what other people's experiences are. 'Cause we're all in different realms, and when we go to different places of power, our experience of that same place is going to be different because we're on different levels. We're at different levels of the spiritual hierarchy. We're in different realms of thought. You know, even in Sedona, we've seen UFOs and all types of alien stuff happening. Like every year, a group of my students we get together and we do our Sagadala trip. And not this past year, but the year before, we were in Sedona and we were sitting all out there. It was like 13, 14 of us, and we were in our circle. And you look up, and it's like these blue lights just like going crazy. And then it went from the sky to like right on side of us somewhere. There was, all types of interesting things, happening. And I really wonder how, for me, I'm in the realm of hermetics and non-dual light, but for the people who are heavily in the cosmic intergalactic realms and stuff like that, I wonder what their experience is when they're in Sedona. I know a couple people. Hey, Ashley, how you doing? I know a couple people that are in those realms, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen Arcturus Ra. There's a video. You might have to scroll way down in my profile, but I used to ask people all the time, what are you? What are you? Which is a very, simple, but often, times profound question. And I asked Arcturus Ra the very first time I met him, well, what are you? And his response was, well, I'm an intergalactic commander, like projecting my consciousness from my spaceship from like 2,000 years in the future. And like dead serious, he like broke it down. So I wake up in stasis pods on my spaceship all the time, and I'm 100% sane about it. And he kind of broke it down. And like I said, that's his experience. I don't live in the intergalactic realms. But I know when I'm in Sedona that the realms I am in, that I get that times 1,000, and it's really really beautiful. So this is why, because of those experiences, this is why I, host the retreats and workshops and stuff, and take people to some of the places that has such a huge influence on my own personal development, because just being in certain energies, it affects you. And whatever realm you're in, you can raise up out of that realm. You can make the most advantage, out of those energies, depending on where you're at. And like I said, I noticed this really young when I would go to different places, how my consciousness would change. As a consciousness is very interesting. It is. It's very, very interesting. Like I said, I grew up in the hood. All my friends grew up in the same neighborhood. And I just remember, traveling with my uncle and going to different places, and go to Canada, go to Detroit, go to like all these different festivals and things like that. And I would come back, and my level of consciousness would be way different than what it was when I left. And even the way that I viewed, the way I interacted with my friends, and the level of consciousness they were still on, it was very, very apparent. It was very apparent. Now, some people have this naturally, and they end up being like, solo travelers, and they want to see the world because they want to take on all these different energies on a subconscious level. They may not even think about it on a spiritual level, but it's a spiritual thing. And some people are just naturally drawn to experiencing those different energies so they can get all the growth and influence from being in different spaces. Other people, their light is not so much of, oh, I'm receiving this type of energy from these different places. On the subconscious level, some people will travel the world and go there to, do grid work and to heal the lands and to free, ghosts and stuff, people that die from trauma, especially in war-torn countries. That's one of the biggest things, when it comes to, hey, Tyrant Truth, how you doing? When it comes to Sri Lanka, is that civil war, like literal genocide, happening, and I'm like hundreds of thousands, if not more, people, over 30, 40 years of this conflict, over and over and over, and that just recently ended in like '09. So it's a lot of healing there, and I'm just naturally drawn there, and even going to some of the places. And for most of the people that's in here, that's in the course, you guys get it. Actually, for most of the people in here, period, you guys get it. We're all mystics. I just remember going to Anuradhapura, which is the first kingdom in Sri Lanka, is Anuradhapura, and it has the largest stupa in the world. It has these really giant stupas, a bunch of ruins and stuff everywhere. The Maha Bodhi tree is there, which is the first historically planted tree in the world. It was cut from a sapling of the original Bodhi tree that the Buddha became enlightened up under. And a nun brought it to Sri Lanka and gifted it to the king to plant in his garden. And it's literally a piece of the original Bodhi tree that the Buddha became enlightened under. And just going through there and connecting to the spaces, for everybody that practice hermetics, how we go and then we do our mental body training. I just remember going there and then giving my blessings, and being taught so much by the energy, and the spirit of some of the ancient places that we went to. And later on that night, when I was getting ready to sleep, they showed me everything that happened there. It was pretty traumatic. Like all the death that occurred there, all the conflict that occurred there, and it made me have a much deeper appreciation for these places, right? Because oftentimes, people will go to places like that, like, oh, it's a beautiful tropical island, right? Oh, it's all the beautiful food and everything else, but it's also, most of the people there, anybody who's over the age of 20, has experienced like literal war, and like for me, I experienced it firsthand. Like they showed it to me before I fell asleep. I could hear it, see it. Like it was traumatizing. Lynette, I don't even know if this got to you when we were there, but when we went on the safari, and in Wilpatu National Park, we went on safari, and we was riding in the little jeep, and I just bust out bawling my eyes out, because I started reliving it again. Like it was actually pretty, it was pretty traumatic, because And it just gave me a much deeper appreciation. So when we go to these places of power, it's not the same as just being like a regular tourist. When we do these workshops and retreats in these sacred places, most of them have seen lots of trauma, lots of bloodshed, literal genocide, especially there. So it's a real interesting relationship that I begin to kind of get. And what's crazy is everybody's drawn to different places. Like for me, Sedona was one of the first places, and I've seen my past incarnations in Sedona. When I'm in Sedona, everything goes my way. Everything synchronizes. Everybody that's outside, that's related to me, and everything else or whatever. I put my mind somewhere, everything that synchronizes. Wherever I place my mind, that's where we're going. Same thing in Sri Lanka. Seeing my past incarnations there, even how everything came together in Sri Lanka. So I think that's the energy that I was feeling while there. That's why it felt so intense for me. Yeah. Yeah, it's super intense, especially in the north. Jaffna, Mannar, we went down Elephant's Pass, which was once the most dangerous road in the entire world because it was so much death that was happening between the Tamil Tigers and the government, and both of them were wrong, dead wrong. And it was horrible. And once again, anybody over the age of 20 lived through that if they lived in the north or on the east coast of the island. You know, but once again, it just puts things into perspective. And even being there, once again, I love it. I love the people, love the culture. I've seen my past lives there, but when I'm there, it's almost as if the energy and the spirits of the island and even the trap spirits and stuff, they're like, tell our story, share this with the world so they can actually get it and then understand it. Because it's not, once again, it's not like, oh, this is this beautiful tropical island. No, it's like the people there are traumatized. Not just from war, but from British colonization, Portuguese colonization. It's all types of stuff going on there. But super powerful too at the same time. And my one of my paths of service is to share that with everybody. Share how to connect to spaces like that so you can get the benefit, and develop yourself, develop your spirit, because all the energy is there. And you'll be drawn to different places. For me, it was Sri Lanka. And Sri Lanka, I've also had past incarnations as a theosophist. And the theosophists have a really strong connection in Sri Lanka as well. Um, you know, it's crazy, Lynette. I don't know how much you know about Sri Lanka, but even the word serendipity means Sri Lanka. The Muslim word for Sri Lanka is serendib, and literally serendipity is named from Sri Lanka. It's to describe Sri Lanka. It is so many different things about this place that's just so unique and so special. Um, but once again, even the for those of you that's in the Kabbalah sessions, we did our 7 raids of the Ascended Masters. Even when it comes to that, one of the etheric retreats is over Sri Lanka because it's such a powerful place. And it's been that way. So I don't know a lot, to be honest. Yeah, it's a lot that goes into it. But this is like most of these places. Um, but that's just one place. But once again, we're going to Mexico in January, and that's going to be amazing. I'm going to set up a couple more trips to Sedona. Next year, we're going to do an initiation into Hermetics workshop in Sedona, and this will probably be I'll be back in Sri Lanka from late April into like mid May. So maybe August we'll be back in Sedona because we're not going in the middle of summer. That ain't gonna happen. We're not gonna be there. It's 95 degrees, 100 degrees, and no shade, and we're out in the middle of a vortex. Uh, so, but that I'm going to set up. If it's any other places you guys would like to see, or any special places of power that you know about, by all means, shoot me a message. Let me know, because I'm open to exploring everywhere, and not just in different countries, like especially here in America. Once again, America is such an amazing, beautiful, powerful place, and people get caught up in the matrix part of it that It's a trap. It's a trap. And America is probably the most powerful land in the entire world. And I mean that. I mean that. Why do you think they never share anything about the ancient history of it? All these other places, even Sri Lanka. And, you know, all these other places, they'll talk about it, they don't teach anything about this land past 400 years ago, 500 years ago. People have been living here for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years. A lot of these, even like Sedona, Grand Canyon, a lot of different civilizations that have been here and destroyed, literally turned to dust, and they're just like mountains to us now. But literally it's the same thing. And I've been blessed to be able to see some of the ancient creatures and stuff that are here. I've seen giants here, the spirits of giants, very very clear. I was heading down to Mexico one time, through Tucson, and we were going through the native lands right before you get into Mexico. And me and my friend Ellie, she was with me, and we're coming up on a mountain. You can see it clear as day with your regular eyes. You don't have to be clairvoyant. You can see the spirit of a giant spirit literally walking along the top of the mountain and lay down within the mountain and disappear into the mountain. We didn't even say anything to each other when we both saw it. We saw it, it did it, and then she looked at me, I looked at her like, "You saw that, right?" She's like, "Yeah, I saw it." you know, like I said, this is one of the things that, like, it means a lot to me. It really, really means a lot to me, to be able to share, the sacredness and the stories that most people don't really know about, when it comes to the history of all these powerful places. Because, you know, it's crazy that everybody in America is kind of like brainwashed into the system, and to think that city life is natural, that doing all these unnatural things is like, okay, this is this is just life. But like I said, California alone, I think I talked about this a couple days ago. California alone has the largest trees in the entire world. They have the tallest tree in the entire world, and these are two different species of trees. They're completely two different species of trees. you know, the lowest place in the entire world, all in the same state, just and this is hours away from each other. And this is just one little part of this land. There's so much power and sacredness in history that most people don't know about and may never know about. So once again, my path of service is to kind of uncover this and kind of tell the stories, too. So this whole next year, me and Jonah, that's our mission. For me, it's more so, just the sacred history, some of the spiritual stuff. For Jonah, he's going straight UFO, aliens, but it's all one. That's the crazy thing. That's one of the reasons why we resonate so much, because it's the same thing. I met my friend Zinka in Sedona, and super cool. She owns an organization called LightNet, and she's really into like UFOs and bending spoons with your mind and virtual reality AR stuff and integrating it with your consciousness and how to train all your higher level stuff. Um, but I asked her a question when I lived in Sedona. What's the difference between a spirit and an extraterrestrial? What's the difference? Is there a difference? Right? When we look at where our history comes from. Oh, thank you for the corn. When we look at our history, it all ties to that. The oldest book ever found in the Americas was found in I think Central America, and it's all about connecting to the consciousness of Venus in the stars and how the consciousness of Venus affects us. This is the oldest book ever found in the Americas. If you look up any of the Masonic texts, they're all talking about Pleiadians, literally Syrians, the blue avians, and everything else. So, it's really interesting too, because not a lot of people really understand especially when Jonah talk about, let's break the matrix, let's like share this information, because when we talk about being awake, it's recognizing that this is all one thing. It says which books. I'll have to get back with you on that. I first came across it because of Oh, it was a general. I forgot who the general was, too, but he was a Freemason, and he actually wrote a book about the Pleiadians. And I'm trying to remember what the heck it was. It's not, coming to me, but um, like I said, the Masons, they know they run the world. This is a Masonic temple in every single town and city in America. They're the ones that design the cities, and the school curriculum and what they teach and brainwash people with. It's all by design to keep you disconnected from your own land and your own inheritance, and it serves a purpose. But for anybody who seeks to liberate themselves, you can break free of it. You don't have to live those stories. You don't have to live in this false reality, and that's created for you. You literally do not have to, and people don't understand that. But it's a literal thing. We talk about legal stuff all day. Most of the laws ain't real. I promise you that. Most of the laws are literally not real and not enforceable. If you know your rights and who you are, your straw man and everything else, like literally most of the laws are not real. But if you don't understand that because you've been constantly told that this is the way life is, and then they have all the TV shows, the cops and CSI, and this is the way that it works. Yeah, Albert Pike. So you Google that quick, But if you don't understand how the system works, then you're just going to give your freedom away, consciously, subconsciously. I give my power away, and that's what most people do. You know, um, so like I said, my mission over the next year or so is to help tell those stories, of how this reality really functions and works, and all these really beautiful aspects of life that most people have no idea about. This is why, even the title for this is, last chance to sign up. I teach my course in hermetics. Hermetics is a path of ascension. How do you develop yourself so you can see through the BS, so you can liberate yourself of all the astral stuff that's sticking to the light of your mind, so you can literally live out higher realities? And some people, most people, stay bound to the 3D matrix of things, which is literally not real. It is literally not real. I ask, most people, like, if you were not to have your phone, if you weren't to have your phone and you just keep it there and don't touch it for 2 weeks, how different would your life be? If you just had to go and deal with the real world without any external information or telling you this is what you should pay attention to or should do, and this is what you should worry about, right? And all this other light and consciousness that's constantly bombarding you, telling you that this is the way life is, right? How different would your life be? You know, and we don't control this. To the degree we still don't control this, even with the internet. It's all algorithms. Says I need to try that, and I use my phone for a couple of weeks. Listen, I told you back in one of my last job, 2017, 2016, I had a flip phone for like a year and a half. Kind like I myself, and like I said, my whole family, they had iPads and iPhones and everything like that. My immediate family, and I was even fixing iPhones and iPads and laptops and then tablets and everything too at the same time. But I had my flip phone. I did not care, and it changed my whole reality. I got so much done. So when I created my business, right? And in 6 months, I went from working 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. I was getting paid good. So I ain't gonna, it was hard, but from that to playing video games for a living, getting paid to do it, and it was literally because I stopped taking in all this external information and projections of what's going on and everything else, and I got back to my spirit, my purpose, my inner genius. This is what, this is where I should go. This is what I should be doing right here, right now. You got to cut out the noise and figure out a way to do that. But most of what's projected is not real. And this is something that, traveling, going to these sacred places, and doing our mental practices and everything, and even our astral liberating practices, you can see, once again, through the BS a lot clearer. Your spirit begins to speak to you on a much deeper level. You know, don't be a slave to other people's projections, their idea and identity of who and what you are, even the feelings of other people. My favorite saying is it's your duty to let everybody else down as long as you do not let yourself down. It is your God-given duty. And I really, really, implore all of you to do that. Don't let yourself down. Do you, who are you living your life for? The greatest thing you can do is to live your life for you. And I mean that. Even if you have kids, live your life for you and your kids will be a lot better off. But if you're constantly putting, the idea of sacrificing, whatever it is for the sake of whoever it is, you cannot work in the capacity in which you can operate on a very high level. You're putting yourself on this lower level, and engaging in things that probably aren't really meant for you, you know. And one of the goals in life, and this is something that kept screaming at me, and especially when I was in Sri Lanka too, is to liberate yourself and to create your dream life that brings you fulfillment. That's your birthright. That's your God-given birthright. I talked earlier about your inner genius. Everybody has an inner genius. There's nobody that does not have an inner genius. Everybody is a genius at something. Everybody. And once again, this inner genius that we all have, it's the most natural thing about you. It's the most natural thing about you. It's not something you have to work hard at. It's not something that you have to force yourself to do and drag along. Oh my God, I got to. It's the most natural thing about you. And if you follow that thing, learn how to develop it and to master it, and then you build a life around it. That is why we are here. You can think about it as we're all different fractals of the one, right? If you are expressing anything other than that fractal part of you, then you're just projecting this false thing about you, which is cool. Some of it might be cool, it might be fun, but the moment you understand your greatness and your inner genius, that is your purpose. That is your purpose, and it's the most natural thing to you. Like for me, like I said, this is what I do right here. I share knowledge, information. I teach qigong and hermetics and travel and host retreats and workshops and this is what I do. And it's the most fulfilling thing I've ever done, ever. And the creator, has blessed me with the ability to do it to a very large degree. And it's like literally like it's as if I don't really have to try. And everybody has the ability to develop that, because it's the most natural thing to me. Like, I used to play video games for a living, and that was fun. Was it completely fulfilling? No, it wasn't, because I wasn't really, able to express my spirit and be free and liberated and allow myself to just fully be me and in my wholeness. But once I started to know myself and learn myself and go through the process of purifying my chi, right, purifying my astral body and doing my my practice, especially after I was depressed. I had a couple let's see, semicolon attempts and everything else, right? So once I got through all that and got to re-know myself again, then everything changed. Everything changed. Okay, cool. I'm going to make sure that I develop myself and know myself and express myself in its fullness. And there's layers to it. It's like peeling off the layers of an onion. There's layers to it. So I suggest for everybody, get to know yourself. And there's different ways to do this. And to bring everything, full circle, you know, um, one of the ways to do it is to travel. And you don't have to travel far. You can go, there's places right near you that are really, really powerful. Really powerful. It's churches, temples, synagogues, basilicas, that are very, very powerful. And those are just some of the man-made ones. There's natural places around you. Everybody, 30 minutes, 45 minutes around you. You can just travel there, connect, go out in nature, connect to the trees. Literally, the trees hold so much wisdom and power. A big part of what I teach is, in Qigong aspect is developing your life force and sharing your life force with the trees. You can vital breathe into a tree, build that mental and astral connection to it. The tree will begin to literally purify you, start to purify your mind, your mental body, start to purify your astral body. That's what trees do. And depending on your path, the tree might bless you. It might teach you something, literally. You know, and if you do this to every tree in the forest, you become the keeper of the forest. And the trees will literally greet you and sing to you as you come into that forest. So just going into these powerful places and doing certain practices, you can get huge amounts of gain. And I mean this on the spiritual level, intellectual level, a monetary level. But you got to get off all that stickiness and all that BS from all the trauma you might have picked up from society and from religion and from your parents and from all these other avenues, because that's what causes our negative karma. All the things that we identify with and put priority towards over our own true self, over our own inner genius and the part of us that is divine. The more you follow that, the easier life becomes. And it's one of the hardest things to do for most people. And everything I teach is, well, how do you do that on a much easier scale? I just share one of the ways. Go out in nature, go to a place of power, and practice. Says, do you still recommend Tree Qigong once a week? To the Hermeticists, yes. It's most definitely necessary. It's your battery for all your magic. Says, living outside of survival consciousness is terrifyingly beautiful and strange. It is. It most definitely is. We all have our divine abundance. Everybody comes into this world with their divine abundance. We have this cosmic bank account, right? And the way that you take ownership to access it is, one, you have to know it's there. You have to be open to receiving it. You have to literally open up the gates for it and say, "Oh, I'm ready to experience my divine abundance. I'm taking a withdrawal from my cosmic bank account." And you have that. Everybody has that. But the reason why most people don't see it, because, one, they're not taught. In certain circles, they're taught that. Most of the Jewish people and Kabbalists and in certain traditions, it's common knowledge, is what they practice, what they teach, because they're more in flow with reality and with the light of the Creator. Um, and they're also the ones that create a lot of the systems as well too, to keep people out of it, so they can siphon some of that energy out too on that level. But everybody has the ability to transcend it, right, and to take ownership of it. And there's so many different ways you can do it. One of the things too I want to really talk about before I go on is, like, not just the divine abundance aspect, but everybody prays for stuff. Everybody prays for things. A lot of people pray for physical, material things. Okay, that's cool, whatever. Um, but you can pray for better aspects of life, right? And all the things, peace, success, and all these different things. And when you begin to receive it, you freak out. You freak the heck out, right? Because one of the hardest things, is why I say one of the hardest things to do is to live within your spirit, is because most of the things that we express that's not us, we've been holding on to for so long that we don't know how to live without it. It's like people that smoke cigarettes. They're literally killing you, and you smell like ass. I smoked cigarettes for 13 years, so I know. You smell like ass, and it's killing you. Letting you know that. But you still do it. It's a part of you that attaches to it, to that identity, and you feel as if you need it after you eat, after you drink, after you build this habit. Most of the things that's clinging to us, that's not good for us, and a literal delusion or negative attachment, it works in the same way. So you go praying for peace, and when the creator begins to show you this peace, you freak out, because it could be the person you're with, your partner could be literally taking that peace away from you. It. Everybody know when they're in a relationship that doesn't serve them. Oh, I need to leave this person because everything ain't working, not synchronizing. They don't appreciate me for me, whatever it is. And when something happens, you try to cling on to it. There's a level of surrender and release and inner guidance that you have to follow to receive your blessings. People hold on to jobs that they hate, which is the most insane thing to me. It's the most insane thing to me. But the more that you can, um, allow those bridges to open up in every way possible. I've shared this before when it comes, especially when it comes to finances. Um, they say in Kabbalah that it's idolatry to think that your job pays you, right? Your job is a bridge in which you receive some abundance, but it's not how you receive your abundance. It's not the only way, but some people idolize this job or whatever they have going on, and this is it. This is my only way that this is going to come through. It can't come from anywhere else, and they put themselves in a box. And energetically, they cut off all the blessings they could be receiving, and it can come from anywhere. Your divine abundance, your divine blessings could come from anywhere, and it will always come through the hands of another person. Always. It will come through the hands of somebody else, and it will always be a reciprocal thing. And the more that you can open yourself up to it, the more you can receive that. And divine abundance is not even always going to be monetary. It may not. Like for me, I'm not a millionaire. I don't have a lot of. I'm good. It's always got it. Whenever I need to take care of whatever, it flows. No problem. It's there. You know. But it's a lawfulness to it. In order for you to be on that level, you have to change your relationship to it. You got to change your habits. You got to be able to allow those bridges to form. And the more you align to it, the more you actually follow your divine path, the easier it flows to you. And I promise you that the easier it comes. Life is not hard. If you are in a state of life is hard and you are working really hard and you're depressed and you're not living a life of fulfillment, it's because you're not following your path. You're not expressing your inner genius. You're putting precedence over something that you feel is greater than you. You're self-sacrificing. You may not have a good self-image. You may be in a space in which, once again, you're just putting precedence over other things other than the things that you want out of life and the things that bring you fulfillment. And like I said, when you begin to express that, everything lines up. You can take full advantage of it. And let me know how y'all feel about this. I see y'all in here. Shout out to everybody that's in here. I know I've just been talking, and went on a couple tangents and everything, but this means a lot to me. And for everybody that's new here, feel free to hit the follow button. If you don't know who I am, my name is RJ. I teach Hermetic alchemy, Hermetic magic, psychic development, how to train your intuition, your clairvoyance, your clairaudience, your clairsentience, how to practice mental transference, mental wandering, remote viewing, how to put your consciousness in any space, any realm, any frequency, and embody that. So when it comes to alchemy and like the higher realms, this is something I know like the back of my hand. But what's more important than all the magical things is that you have a bridge and a pathway to liberate yourself from the things that are causing you dis-ease. Because everybody's going to experience, suffering. This is part of life, and there's ways in which you can navigate through your karma with a lot more ease. A lot more ease. You get a huge buffer, but just understanding the universal laws and how creation functions, you know. And this is what I share. For anybody who's interested, in the morning, 9 a.m. Pacific time, we have our weekly group Zoom meetings. I teach a course once again, on psychic development, mastering the elements, how to train your intuition so it's always working for you. It's a full system of hermetics and magic and ascension. So the first part of the course is mastering the elements. How do you master the elements? How do you master your astral, instinctual, relationship to fire, air, water, and earth? So you can develop akasha, and these express through your basic survival instincts, and it's a part of everybody. And the more you understand it, the more you can literally raise through the different layers of consciousness and have a much higher quality of life and a much higher, experience. Now, on the higher levels, you're training your literal psychic abilities. How do you see through different realms? How do you see people's auras and their negative stuff so you can avoid it? How can you heal people? You know, to a very high degree. I'm talking about like clearing cancer is possible, right? And you know how to leave your body, how to develop much higher levels of clairsentience and divine guidance. How do you train your intuition so you become your own teacher? And this is what we go through. And it's absolutely amazing. It's beautiful. So if anybody's interested, check out the link in the bio. Right now, I'm doing it pay what you can. Basically, there's minimals, there's the actual price. If you get paid the actual price, by all means, I'm not going to stop you from paying the actual price. Remember, like energetically, you know, if you can without a problem, you probably should, because the more you put into it, the more you get out of it, like mentally, astrally, physically, you know, karmically. But also, there's people who may be struggling and may not have their finances in order. So I want to make it affordable for everybody as well. With this, there's a monthly option, there's a yearly option. The yearly option, you save the most, it's the cheapest overall. Um, but through this exchange, you learn how to master yourself. Literally, and train your intuition, and you practice it if you are, you know, truly treating it as sacred to you, and you're devoted to it. The first week, you'll see huge change, huge shift in consciousness and connection. You know, month later, even more so. 6 months later, you'll be in a different place. 2 years from now, you will be living a life of fulfillment. You know, if you are dedicated to it, in 4 years, you'll be a completely different person. And the more you're dedicated to it, the more you get out of it. It's designed for you to get what you put in. You know, but just by doing it, even if you only do the first 10 videos in the first level, it will change your life. But there's hundreds of videos. There's multiple video libraries. Once again, there's an app where you have access to all the different videos. Like I said, level 1 is mastering the elements. Level 2 is psychic development. Level 3 is magical invocation. Level 4 is the true Kabbalah. And with the Master Key Psychic Ascension program, you get access to level 1, level 2. There's a Master Key library. There's a Magical Path of Power library. There's a meditation library, and there's a couple other ones. So there's literally hundreds of videos that you have access to develop yourself. On top of that, you can join in the weekly group Zoom meetings on Saturdays at 9 a.m. And it's life changing. It's beautiful. After a very short amount of time, your intuitive guidance system turns on, and it's a literal thing. Your intuition, your spirit begins to guide you on a much deeper level, and you follow that. You literally go to the videos, tune into your spirit, and you will go to the right video, and you will see exactly how that teaching, that practice, that energy work, that whatever that video is, it will directly apply to what you're experiencing that day, and you can see it and understand it through firsthand experience, because that's the only way that you can master the higher spiritual knowledge is through firsthand experience. So the entire course is, you know, how do you develop yourself and properly with proper practice so you can experience Dharma and universal laws, because there's no way you can intellectualize it. So the whole course is, well, how do you tap into your vital energy, right? How do you develop a really deep relationship with that vital energy? How do you transform that energy into astral chi? How do you take that astral chi and purify your astral body, which most people say it's your soul, right? How do you develop that and develop the inner stillness and alignment so you can develop mental spiritual strength so you can withstand all these different forces that tell you to think this way, feel this way, act this way, and the stories that begin to build simply from an electromagnetic charge touching your spirit, vibrationally matching it and building the story that you just act along. There's no freedom or liberation in that, and that's how things manifest. You know, this is where you want to be, where you can liberate yourself from that. You know, and if you live in the city, all the city karma tell you to think a certain way, act a certain way, wear this, dress like this. It's all these different things. And if you have a weak mind, that's your life. You'll be ruled by that energy, by those consciousnesses. And most people, that's how they live their life. And this is what most people will refer to as NPCs, like literal NPCs. And people are in those realms and may not know that they're in there because they don't understand what it means to liberate your spirit. And it's magic. It's literally magic. So, you know, this basic, you know, hermetic practice. And if anybody's interested, once again, check out the link in the bio. If you are on TikTok, You may have to open up the link in your browser. So you click on the link, click on the Master Key Psychic Ascension program, and then you'll have to look at the top right hand corner, it's a little menu thing, and open that up in a different browser because TikTok is they're haters. They don't want anybody off of their site, so they only let you go so far with the link. But check it out. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, drop them in the chat. This is what I'm here for. Once again, my path of service is to help liberate as many people as possible. Those who want it. I'm not trying to force anything on anybody. I'm not telling you believe this, believe that. Practice. See what happens. Watch how you start to liberate yourself and become your own teacher. I often share that I'm a master teacher. Not that I'm a all high and mighty master or anything like that, which I might be. But I teach masters. I am a master. I teach masters. I teach you to master yourself, master hermetics, master your mind, so you can take control over your literal destiny. Because everything is seeking to express itself through you. Everything, every level of consciousness can only be expressed through you. You are the vehicle. Your physical body, your physical senses, what animates your whole reality. You've never experienced anything outside of your own senses. And everything you have is an expression of some level of consciousness. Some of those levels of consciousness are very dark and dim and heavy, right? And some of them are very light and liberating and free and fun, right? So if you know you have a choice, if you know you have a choice, why would you choose anything else? So once again, for anybody that's interested, check it out. There's monthly options. There's different options. And once again, every week, Saturdays, 9 a.m., I do weekly group Zoom meetings. In the morning, we're going through, how to practice correctly, how to use the information in the apps. We'll go through some of the energy exercises, and you'll be well on your way. Just start practicing, and you start to integrate the practices into your everyday life, and watch how much more free you become, and how your quality of life begins to raise into much higher levels of reality. And it's beautiful. So one of the things I wish, I could share my screen, but I don't think I'm going to do it right now. So before I get off, um, when we look at the different realms, right? So I love to look at the says you have very useful energy. Oh, thank you. As a matter of fact, I have very useful energy. Um, for those of you that's in here, I want all y'all to guess my age. Talking about I got very youthful energy. And once again, if this is your first time here, let me know in the comments. Let me know where you're from. I am in very beautiful Southern California, Los Angeles County. About to go to LAX in about an hour, pick somebody up, pick Isaiah up from the airport. But where are you at? If you haven't hit the follow button, hit the follow button. Other than that, like, well, how are y'all doing? We got very youthful energy. I just really want everybody to, recognize your power. It says I'm in LA. What up, Spirit of Love? It says, oh, I'm in LA, Lake Balboa area. Oh, that's what's up. It says I know your age. It says you do though. Oh, thank you. Yeah, and I'm forever young. I still feel like I'm like 17, 18, honestly. um, so one of the things I want to do too, and for those of you here in California, while I'm here, I want to do some in-person meetings and stuff. Next month, we are going to be meeting in Newport Beach with Jonah. But other than that, anybody who's interested in practicing hermetics or qigong, I'm going to start doing in-person stuff too. For when I'm here, I won't always be here. I'm going to do a lot of traveling, but when I am here, I'm going to set those up as well. So primarily reserved for people who are in the group and stuff, but we'll do like some open practices and stuff too. It says, do you think journaling on my phone has the same impact as writing in physical journal? It does, but I still prefer writing in actual journal. And it's different ways you can journal too. She just joined the course as well. So one of the big things when it comes to your magic journal is a couple things. I would still get a physical journal, and I would get a really, really nice one too. I mean, like a really nice one. I bought one. I think I spent like $80 on this thing back when I was in Indiana. It's like this thick. It looked like a Bible. It got a dragon on it and lions and stuff, and it's badass. And I spent that much on it because I know I'm going to write in it. I'm not just going to let it sit there. So for me, it's like a psychological trick for me to, journal more. But I see much more benefit when I actually write it down. I often take notes on my phone. Um, what's important is that you're actually taking notes, period. For anybody that goes through the video library and then through the course, it is useless to do any of it whatsoever if you're not taking notes. And I promise you, you will be wasting your time. You can listen to every single video in the entire course, recite everything that I say verbatim, back to back. If you are not taking notes and writing it down, you will get very little benefit. And you may be getting benefit, but I promise you, you start journaling and taking notes as you go through it, you will see yourself grow so much faster. The moment you start writing down and taking notes, because you begin to integrate and soak that energy up very, very quickly. You're signaling to your subconscious that this information is important to me, and it sticks to you. If you don't, write it down, it will one ear and out the other. You will literally be wasting your time. And so I suggest that you really do that. Um, Other than that, any other questions before I go? Just hi, how did you start learning about all this? I feel like I'm just starting. Um, I've always been a mystic, like my whole life. I share this pretty much every day this week, and I grew up seeing ghosts and spirits and energies and UFOs and aliens and fireballs in the sky, and always had my inner guidance. Always been able to see the lessons that were being taught to me, ever since I was little. Like literally, oh, I'm literally being guided and taught. And when I learn a lesson, I literally raise up into a whole new level of consciousness, and life literally begins to look different and lighter and and more free. And I can feel the space of my mind begin to branch out in all the new places I can go. And always had that level of awareness as an adult. Went through some drama, some depression, some attempts, and went through that whole thing. And coming out of that, I meditated for like the first time, left my body, touched light, went through the Akasha, was standing over the cosmos, talking to God, came back to my body, healed my body, my mental body, my astral body, my physical body, and all the damage I had done from it. And the next day, I could see spirits again. I could feel my energy, feel my chi. I knew that I could heal people, and had no idea what Reiki was, energy work was, Qigong, or any of that. And ever since then, I've been teaching people, step by step. Well, this is how you do it. A lot of what I teach, nobody taught me. Where I learned it from, higher levels of consciousness. Some of what I teach and certain practices I've gotten from certain people, that was taught to me. But for the most part, a lot of what I teach, nobody taught me. Some stuff I just remember. Some stuff is just like, oh yeah, I remember this. So a big part of my path of service is to teach everybody how to do the same, how to liberate their spirit. And this is, you read the Emerald Tablets, I teach the Emerald Tab, like the what's in the Emerald Tablets, but not in a cryptic way. The Emerald Tablets and most of the Hermetic texts are not meant for you to decipher it or anything like that. But the more you pay attention to it and you go through some of those texts, the more you're in resonance with people who actually know it and understand it. So, it's kind of like when the student's ready, the teacher will come, type of thing. And naturally you begin to magnetize yourself to those spaces. You'll end up in this space, in this chat. If you've been reading the Kabbalion and looking up psychic development or Qigong or Hermetics, this is why you're here. And it's really, really beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. So this is what I do. um It says, when do you know and change direction when you learned the lesson? The moment. It's aha moments and epiphanies. And we create our own suffering. Like if you're not a child, you and under somebody else's household, like you create your own suffering, your own trauma, your own everything. But most people are unaware of how they create these things. It's from attachments, aversions, and delusions. literally. And even the Buddha said that, nirvana is the release of attachments, aversions, and delusions. And, most people are overly attached to people, places, identities, things, right? Their traumas, all these other things that they give expression to instead of, once again, their true self, the part of them that is divine. You know, the, you know, the creator found it necessary for you to be here. You are part of all of creation, and there's only one you, and you're meant to express that one you, your own natural infinite self that is only you. And the more you express that, the more you live a life of fulfillment. The more there's a saying by Pythagoras, and I'm going to leave you guys with this because I want to chill before I drive to LAX. Pythagoras said, know thyself, and you will come to know the universe and the gods. And it's a literal thing. In this realm, and there's new spirits, there's young spirits out there that are, just starting their journey, but none of them are in this live stream. The simple fact that you're in here is because you're in resonance with this. This is not one of those, somebody's own lives just because they want to, make money or be famous or be an influencer or anything like that. No, this is my path of service. This is a very, very sacred thing to me. I know I joke and everything else, but this is the most sacred thing to me. So on the spiritual level, we are connected on that level. Every single one of you guys, you're all old spirits, or else you would not be here. People who are at the beginning of their spiritual journey, I'm talking about like at the beginning of their, thousands, if not millions of incarnations, they're not even remotely interested in this. Even as the frequency of the entire planet is raising, they're not. This is not the type of knowledge that young souls are interested in. My goal and what I've been doing for many, many incarnations, and I mean many, 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 many incarnations, is to teach people how to, start off where they left off at. I'm sure everybody in here, you've been a monk in past lives, you've been a priestess, you've been a literal deity, that even some that have been worshipped here on this planet, maybe on other planets. So my path of service is to give you the tools so you can start where you left off at and then remember who you are. And it's a really beautiful thing. It's a really, really beautiful thing. So if you would like to take advantage of this beautiful synchronicity and opportunity, check out the link in the bio. For sure. Like I said, in the morning, we're starting from kind of square one, kind of doing a revisit of the course. There's an app. Once again, we have multiple video libraries. There's hundreds of different videos. And once again, we have weekly group Zoom meetings Saturdays at 9 a.m. And the whole course is, well, how do you liberate your spirit? How do you train your psychic abilities? How do you train your intuition? So it's always working for you, and then you become your own teacher. Once you get to the point in which you understand the process and how to expand your consciousness outside of your physical body and receive light, and from there, then you have a friend. You no longer have a teacher, you have a friend, and we can practice together. And it's really, really beautiful. So if you're interested, check out the link in the bio. You'll probably have to open up the link in a separate browser, but it's the Master Key Psychic Ascension program. There's like 5 or 6 different video libraries you have access to. Level 1, Mastering the Elements. Level 2, Psychic Development. It's the Master Key library, the the Magical Path of Power. It's a meditation library. There's all types of other ones. And I'm going to be recording a heck of a lot more videos. And it's beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. So if you have any questions, you can drop them to me. You can hit the Service Plus button down in the corner and then shoot me your information, or you can just sign up. So unsure how to access this content. You'll receive an email, and in the email you'll have a link to the app, and you can download the app. You'll also get a link to my book, Alchemy of a Happy Life, and you can check that out. That can be used as kind of like a companion guide for the course as well. And then you'll also get a link to the Discord, and anybody can join the Discord, and once again, in the morning, 9 a.m. Pacific time, you will receive a push notification on the app as well, and you can sign up in the app for that session, and it will give you the Zoom link so you can join in on the Zoom session as well. Other than that, once again, check out that link. If anybody else has any questions, you can message me directly. I really, really thank everybody for joining me. I hope you all have a very, very, very blessed and beautiful rest of your evening, and I will see you all later. Okay, peace. Bye.